A career as a...
Damn.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
For the past 2 decades, I've thoroughly enjoyed all aspects of being a mortgage lender. Unfortunately, too many people do not take their career seriously, and therefore, they end up not making it. In today's episode, we are going to discuss the 5 characteristics that are most common with those that fail at becoming a successful mortgage loan originator. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and my main man,
JC.
John Coleman.
Dio, what's poppin'?
Well, me, man, I cannot get the Loan Officer Podcast out of my mouth, and I need to get TLOP.
You invested too much into it.
It's just 4 years of being groomed by you, John.
That's you. You came up with the shit. I ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, but you just make me do it.
I don't
you wind me up, and then you like make me do these funny things.
That's your wife.
She gets me wound up from time to time, but I don't think she has ever prompted me to do something funny. But no, at some point, y'all, we're going to get really good at saying, you are tuned into TLOP with me, Dustin Owen, and my main man.
I don't intro nothing.
Yeah, this is TLOP. This is the 2024 is the rebrand. It's the birth and it's the rebrand. We're rebranding, but we're also birthing at the same time.
Like the Phoenix.
Just like the Phoenix, whatever that means. If that's a movie, that's sci-fi, I haven't seen it.
The Phoenix that goes into the sun.
The Phoenix, I wear a Phoenix. You see my watch? That's a Phoenix. Yes.
That's a Fitbit.
It's not a Fitbit. Do not call that a Fitbit. This is a legitimate
looks
GPS
like an
Garmin watch.
Why do you need a GPS watch? You're gonna lose yourself on the way to work?
No, my GPS watch tracks my mileage. It tracks my biking.
Don't you have an Apple Watch for that?
That thing's garbage. I straight up gave that to my teenager.
Wow.
Because once I started training heavily in triathlons, John, I realized that Apple Watch is garbage for triathletes.
Really?
The Garmin is where it's at. Yeah.
Wow.
The Garmin is where it's at.
Yo, if you're a Garmin rep, send Dustin some free swag. He'd be more than happy to pimp you.
God, between Garmin and the Sitka gear I'm wearing, holy cow, I'm a walking, talking billboard for someone who's trying to get sponsored.
I guess that's like Lacoste for hunters or something.
Yes. This is it's a little chilly outside today, and I was like, you know what? It's kind of cash. JC and I are going to be in the studio doing content. And I grabbed this because it is ultra comfy, but the true story behind it is I'm not much of a hunter. I love the outdoors. I love hiking, and probably half a dozen times in my life I've gone bird hunting, right? So quail, pheasant, chukar, stuff like that. And I didn't have any of the gear when I first started getting into this a few years back. And I was on a text thread, and you know, like your boys give you shit. At least my boys give me shit.
I don't get invited to text threads, to be honest with you. I really don't have friends.
Is that because you're cantankerous and you're usually like, I can't be bothered, and you're the person who's always like remove or you like unsubscribe?
If you look at my call log history, it's like my wife, my mom, Mark, my mom, my wife. For like, I'm talking about like 4 or 5 weeks back.
That's how you like it. Look, we all know you're a likable, approachable guy. So
don't approach me in public.
If you wanted it differently, you would be. But back on you.
Back on you.
This show is called With Dustin Owen, John.
No, you told me to take it out. It's just TLOP.
Well, good, because I asked you. I said, can we change it to like Dio and JC?
No,
you're like, nope.
Nobody wants to hear no Dio and JC. They want TLOP. They want you. They just want
TLOP. Well, can I just finish my Sitka story? Then we can. I'm not going to get sponsored by Sitka if I don't tell a story.
How much was it? Let me guess first. $320.
Jesus Christ, no.
Then that's bargain.
Yeah.
You said it was expensive.
I can't imagine I spent more than $100 or $125 on this. But nonetheless, you got to think like my buddies are shopping at Walmart and they're probably getting like the Mossy Oak.
Shout out Cabela.
I think Cabela might be a little bit more expensive than Mossy Oak, but not quite as expensive as Sitka. I'm still new to this, but nonetheless. The long story short is I'm on a text thread and they're giving me shit. Oh, I bet Dio's going to go out and buy a bunch of Sitka gear. I'd never heard of Sitka.
Oh, gotcha.
Right? But they know me.
And they
know that, look, I'm a self-professed yuppie redneck. So I get, sometimes a little bougie with the outdoor stuff. And yeah, if I'm going to go buy gear, I want to buy the nice stuff. I also want to buy the trendy stuff because that's just who I am. So I, as a joke, bought some Sitka gear. No joke. It's one of my most comfortable hoodies. I'd wear this to a nice dinner if my wife would let me. Unfortunately, my wife doesn't think camo is a pattern nor a color, and she definitely doesn't think it's a pattern or a color that should be ever worn in public. Very rarely are you going to say something about me that I can't own.
Right.
I may try to spin you to think a different way, but at the end of the day, I'll probably have to own it.
Okay.
Just like there's a lot of mortgage loan originators out there, dude, they got to own their own failures.
Oh, yeah.
They got to own why they didn't make it.
Because you're lazy and incompetent.
Yeah, you know what,
I like how you paused that and realized you were about to say no, but like, yeah, it's because you are.
I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to argue that. We are going to talk about in today's episode.
Okay.
There are 5 main characteristics of kind of like, don't do that. If you want to be successful as a mortgage loan originator, it's like, look, don't do these 5 things that we're going to talk about.
Okay.
But when I study the hundreds, if not thousands of people that I've personally known throughout my 20 plus year career who have gone, raised their hand, started this new career, did the licensing, and then now aren't in the industry, I'm going to walk you through. There's 5 characteristics that normally 3 of the 5 are being met at the same time. Rarely is it all 5, but it's 3 of the 5 are being met. And because they're being met, we're talking about negative things, that's not a good thing. If you're 1 or 2, you can still have a decent career. But if you're touching on 3, 4, or all 5, it's going to be a big issue. So the episode is going to be geared specifically thinking about the mortgage loan originator. But I promise you, y'all, I'm going to look at the camera when I say this.
Holy shit.
Hey, if you're in real estate sales, this applies to you. If you're a financial advisor, this applies to you. If you are trying to sell life insurance, guess what, John?
It's probably for you as well.
Yes, it's probably for you. If you're thinking about starting your own business,
Definitely for your ass.
it's going to be for you. Like these are pretty common. And this is why I've loved being a mortgage lender for 20 plus years is it has taught me so much about life and business. Take mortgage out of it, just life skills, business skills, marketing skills, sales skills. I have learned by being a mortgage loan originator. The reason why you and I originally came up with the Loan Officer Podcast is because the idea was these are lessons taught by a loan officer that was learned while being a loan officer, but it wasn't necessarily geared, oh, hey, let's make content specifically for the mortgage community. Now, because of the show, yes, we now find ourselves being invited to partner with companies like Housing Wire. We're going to be heading out to their event in Arizona in April. The event's called The Gathering. It's like the who's who of mortgage and real estate, specifically geared towards those that are like high level management all the way up to like company owners, CEOs. But we're going to be there. We are the media sponsor. If you're curious about learning more about the event or you want to come hang out with us because you know we're going to be there, we do have a swanky ass Airbnb.
We are throwing a banger. Skip all the conferences. You're going to Arizona to come to this party.
I don't know if we can say that because the Airbnb specifically states 2 things on it. No commercial photography, and it says no parties.
Well,
It doesn't say anything about small, intimate gatherings, though.
well, since we are going to a thing called The Gathering,
Then we should have a small, intimate gathering for after the gathering for a select few individuals.
real
By
talk-
select few, like 12 to 16.
make sure we have scratch and sniff stickers for that event.
We will.
I know.
Oh, yes.
I just-
Mark, write that down. Mark, write that down. Nikki, make sure you bring them. Yes, because we're going to be out there actually like reporting live and on location.
You get a sticker, you're invited. Just go ahead and scratch it, and it'll give you the directions.
Oh, how cool is
Think
that?
oh, you got a sticker too? What's that for? Oh, you can't have it. I'm going to the party. Sorry, it's not a party. It's a gathering. Sorry.
Here, I thought we were doing scratch and sniff stickers. By the way, shout out to Dr. Christie.
Shout out Dr. Christie.
Dr. Christie did a TLOP exclusive for us a couple months ago. I want to have her back.
Yeah.
I really want to incorporate her in what we're doing over at TLOP. So I need to reconnect with her. So Christy, if you are tuning in today, hey, what's up, girl? We need to reconnect. And by the way, she's launched her podcast.
Really?
I listened to an episode. It was actually pretty good.
There you go.
It was actually pretty good. Yeah, it's, I don't know the name of her podcast, but she's Dr. Christine McMullen.
Jesus, you gotta.
I'm sure you can find it somewhere. But no, so The Gathering. I just wanted to pimp out The Gathering because we're going to be there.
Yeah.
I do want to pimp out our friends over at the Florida Association of Mortgage Professionals, FAMP.
FAMP.
Because we're doing at least 2, if not 4 events with FAMP this year.
Oh, shit.
I'm going to be down in Fort Myers, Florida in April. Stay tuned. Mark's going to get those deets up on the website.
Shout out, Mark.
Wait, what's the website name again?
TLOPonline.com.
There we go. That's where you also find the deets on The Gathering if you're going to be in Arizona in April. But we're going to be at FAMP's annual conference, July 31st through August 2nd. That is in Orlando. As we get closer to that event, we'll have those details up on the website. And I'm working with FAMP on doing a webinar for their members which is also something that I'll remind the crew and the listeners and the viewers, hey, y'all, I'm still in a competition with my team. I have to do 30 webinars between now and the end of the year. FAMP has taken care of one of them. That leaves us 29. We need to book 29 more webinars between now and the end of the year. This is my way of giving back to the mortgage community, speaking, coaching, teaching for free. It's also a good way for me to connect with those that already tune into us and remind people who've yet to tune in that we're worth looking into. And then to remind people, hey, by the way, we had this newsletter, we had this LO coaching program, we had this community, you should look at joining it. But I'm speaking specifically right now to all of the vendors of the mortgage industry. I'm speaking to every trade organization out there, whether you are AIM, whether you're a broker, whether you are a banker. I'm speaking to the MI companies. Like, if y'all would like a banging webinar for free, hit me up, hit us up. I'm raising my hand saying, I think I have some talent that I would love to share with mortgage loan originators from Spokane, Washington, all the way to Key West, Florida, and everywhere in between.
Well said, Dustin.
All right. So on that note, you ready to get down and dirty with today's content?
Yeah, let's talk about the folly of loan officers.
Yeah, we definitely will. And if anyone ever wants to debate us on this,
Mostly you.
I'm going to welcome it, but under one condition. We're right now working with Matt Emery. Matt Emery is in charge of Mortgage Mastermind. Mortgage Mastermind is a phenomenal event that's in Vegas.
Okay.
We're looking to, just like we're partnering with FAMP, we're partnering with the Housing Wire and the Gathering. We're looking to partner with Matt Emery. We're looking at being out there. So if you want to debate me on any one of these five, I'm gonna open up that debate at a craps table, though. At a craps table, and then eventually to the hotel bar where they're going to charge us $21 for a $6 drink.
My favorite.
Yeah. But anyhow, let's get rolling. Okay. So I promised 5. I teased 5. We're going to talk about 5. Okay. Why some MLOs don't make it. And by some, it's a good percentage. Like, I go back to 2004 because this is nothing new, right? So if it's true, it's not new. And if it's new, it's not true. Well, what I'm going to tell you is true because it's not new. I go back to 2004. I was one of 78 people that were hired on and put through the same exact professional sales development program. We call that program today Zenix. Shout out to our friends over at Zenix. But back in the day, it was called PSD, and it was put on by a company named Home Bank. Well, within the first 12 months, 78 quickly became like 48. Like, we lost 30 people within the first 12 months. This is my class, my training class. Within 2 years, we had gone from 78 down to like 28.
Get out.
By 3 years, there was like 18 of us left. Today, 20 years later, there may be 8 of us, 8 to 12. Right? So you have to understand, like, this is like the Hunger Games. May the odds forever be in your favor, but what's crazy about it, it's not rocket science. Like, having success is not rocket science. It takes a certain amount of grit, a certain amount of tenacity, and a whole lot of stick-with-itness, but it doesn't take this crazy PhD or this crazy, test score on your ACT or SAT or going to an Ivy League school. It doesn't. So let's talk about why people would not make it. Like, what happened in 2004 that we went from 78 to 48, from 48 down to 38, and 38 to 18 within 36 months. And why do I see so many people that they do the steps, right? They call our friends over at Knowledge Coop. They take the 20-hour course. They then hit up Rocky over at MLS Study Buddy. Rocky makes sure that they study properly and pass the NMLS.
First go.
Okay. They then go and they find a good employer. Sometimes they reach out to us and we help them find an employer. Like, we offer that service. It's harder to do for people who aren't experienced and don't have a book of business. Like, just straight up, we love doing it for people who are currently experienced but looking for their next best place.
Dustin calls that growth mode.
Yes, if you are in growth mode, if you already have a book of business, but you are seeking what's your next best career move, which, by the way, sometimes is actually staying where you're at.
Yeah.
But if you reach out to us, I would love to spend 10 or 15 minutes with you, helping you either get pointed in the right direction or helping you double down that where you're at is probably the best spot for you. But then once you are gainfully employed, right, we know the steps. You need to be coached. You need to join a community. All the way through continuing education, networking, being involved in your profession, advocating, and then continued education, usually through conferences or continued coaching. But There's folks that just don't figure that out. So we are going to walk through what you need to do so you don't wind up being just another statistic. It starts with this. Very first thing, step one is getting your mind right. It's mindset. Are you going into this career calling it a job? Because if you're calling this career a job, you already are getting started off on the wrong foot. This is a career. You need to treat it as if you are a business owner who is launching your business. Then you have to study other successful businesses. I don't care if it's a dry cleaner, a restaurant, a sports bar, a nail salon, a landscaping business, or you're going to become a professional house flipper or a home builder or anything in between. Like when you launch a business, I don't care how great you are as a technician, it takes a lot of time and tenacity. So if you go in there with a business owner's mindset, then you understand it's going to take you 2 years. Like it just takes you 2 years. You also understand when you're the business owner, John, who do you work for?
Yourself.
Yeah. So if you're not successful, whose fault is it?
Somebody else, definitely not me.
No, sir. Not when you own your own business. Who's your boss?
Me.
Ultimately, you are your boss.
Is always my boss.
Well, correct. And then you're always the assistant manager
I'm always
of yourself.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
assistant manager of myself.
She's the chairwoman of the board, but you're the CEO. You're the CEO of you. Yes. And too many people go into it thinking, oh, well, my employer or, oh, my manager. No, you choose an employer to partner with. And part of choosing that employer is choosing the right manager to lead you. You get a choice in that matter. But for the bulk of y'all, mortgage loan originators, you're 100% commission. You work for you, LLC, a division of insert your company name. So it starts with that mindset of I'm the business owner. I need to be the most resourceful person. I need to be looking out for my ultimate success. I need to be driving the sales and marketing. It's the one time in your life that I should be celebrated. Right? Because we all know, there's no I in team. And you always talk about yourself. You're going to be too self-centered. Make it about them, not about you. That's all well and true, except for when you're talking about your business, at which point it's I. Everything falls on you. If you want to learn more about that, go read the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko. That's a phenomenal book. But the mindset to me is step one, understanding that you are going to be launching your own career, your own business. It's going to take you 2 years. Step two, you alluded to this, John, already.
You're a dummy and you're lazy.
Okay, well, dummy's pretty strong.
Sorry.
Dummy's pretty strong, but there's a certain amount of, hey, look, introspectively.
Right.
Introspectively, have a long, hard conversation with that person in the mirror and say, what is my aptitude? Am I a generally smart person? Am I quick on my feet? Now, you don't have to be book smart. You can be street smart, right? You might not be very good in the books, but you know how to read people. You know how to use common sense to make good judgment. Your gut is always right, and you tend to follow it. But I find people who are successful as mortgage loan originators, these are people who would have been successful in any other type of profession, especially if it's financial sales. That's life insurance, that's financial advisor, that's real estate agent. And they have above average aptitude, right? Yeah, they're just smart. Again, doesn't have to be you have a college degree. I'm not saying that, because you may be smart because you're well traveled. You may be smart because you're experienced. You may be smart because you're well read.
Yeah.
You don't have to have any type of formal education. In fact, some of the best and most successful originators do not have a 4-year degree. So a 4-year degree is not indicative as to whether or not you're going to be successful. So there you go. Anyone who is waiting for you to say, have a 4-year degree, and that's how you're going to be successful, sorry to burst your bubble. It's not. Number 3, I alluded to this with mindset, but it's so important that we have to just double down on it.
All right.
Number 3 is you got to have staying power. Like you just have to have staying power. It takes 2 years, sometimes 3. At no point did I say it takes 2 years, sometimes 1.
Like when you say it takes 2 years, like if I'm a newer loan officer, I should it'll take me 2 years to close my first loan, or like just to get comfortable. What do you mean by 2 years?
If you're a new loan officer, it may take you 6 months to close your first loan. You won't even start to get any good until you've closed 20 loans. You won't start getting comfortable till you've closed 50 loans. You won't be able to call yourself an expert till you've closed 200 loans. So it may very well take you 2 years before you have closed enough business. developed enough relationships, gone on enough sales calls, made enough mistakes that you're like, okay, I think starting now, I can consistently close enough business to pay my bills, and I can continue to work on professional betterment. But yeah, it takes at least 2 years, if not 3. I've always said 2 years, but we've had one of my buddies, Ian McDonald, on this call. Ian McDonald's a just bang up, amazing mortgage loan originator, right? He crushes it out of the Jacksonville, Florida market, $100+ million producer, makes gobs of money, right? He was an ex-school teacher. Like he was a math teacher in high school before he became a mortgage loan originator. And his dream is actually to make enough money as an MLO that one day he can go back to teaching. Yeah. But anyhow, Ian says it takes 3. I say it takes 2. But like, I look at other business ventures, not just MLO. Like, I know MLO because I was one. Took me 2 years. I know MLO because I've coached, hired, trained hundreds of mortgage loan originators. I have seen those that make it. I've seen those that don't make it, and I follow the patterns because the patterns don't evolve male, female, black, white, Hispanic, bilingual, not bilingual, young, old. None of those exist. The patterns are in what we're talking about today. But I look outside of this industry, right? My cousin Jimmy, who's a very successful commercial realtor up in the Illinois, the greater Chicago market. Jimmy straight up told me 2 years. Took him 2 years. He took a massive pay cut to launch that career. His wife held down the fort from an income standpoint while he built his book of business. Now, when you look at his business and his commissions, you're like, damn, I want some of that. Like, well, did you want the 2 years of being broke, right? Of not knowing what you're doing, not having a following, and not bringing enough money that your income alone would cover the nut in the household? When I look at my friends over at Hometown Home Buyers is the real estate investment company that I co-founded in 2020. So the good news is we've always kept our nose above water, meaning we've yet to be like, oh my gosh, we're getting just crushed, kicked in the teeth, losing money.
Yeah.
But here we are in 2024. I'm an owner. I own 30% of this company. I founded this company with 2 other people, right? So I'm a co-founder. 2024 is the first year that I'm making a consistent paycheck. Like, think about that. Like, it took us to get through 2023 before we found our groove. 2024 is going to be our breakout year. That means we struggled through 2020, struggled through 2021, struggled through 2022. Found our groove in 23, we'll have a breakout year in 24. Let's look at what you and I are doing over here at TLOP. Like, truth be told, you and I launched TLOP 4 years ago. But 4 years ago, it was 2 dudes sitting down and having fun and figuring it out. So let's just take the first year off the table.
Red shirt.
It's a red shirt, exactly. We go into the second year, okay, and let's just call that a second red shirt because maybe we like blew out our ACL. But you know, even the second year, we look at what we did in 21. We just did more of what worked in 2020 and less of what didn't work while we were figuring each other out and figuring out our cadence. We started, though, in 2022. I think it was 2022 is when you and Dennis launched TLOP online for the first time.
Shameless plug.
It was in September of 2022 that we're like, we're going to go to Vegas. We're going to be a part of Mortgage Mastermind. And we did.
Turn up for a check.
And like, we had like 24 or 26 TLOPers show up. Like, that's how we met Lucy the lender.
Shout out Lucy.
That's how we met Kayla up in Fargo.
Charlotte.
Right? Like, that's how we met Courtney, who's with Movement Mortgage out in the Pacific Northwest.
Pac West.
Yeah. Like, you know, like, that's how we met some of these people for the first time. There's going to be other dudes that I totally forget. All those dudes that came in from Cali. I think it was Christian, one of them. Anyhow, my apologies. Lewis, Christian, it's going on 2 years ago. But if we said that we started getting intentional in January of 2022, but really we put our flag in the ground by September, it was January of 2023 when we first hired a consultant. And it wasn't until May of 2023 that we hired Mark and Nikki.
Shout out Mark and Nikki.
Right. And here we are in February of 2024.
Holy shit.
And we're just looking to find our groove. And we might not find it until August or September. Like, look, we had the new studio. We have the YouTube channel that's being revamped. We're getting intentional with an e-learning platform. And we have these crazy, awesome TLOP exclusives, which I didn't give a shout out, but Mike McAllister is our next TLOP Exclusive. He is the founder and owner of Empower LO. He's been on the show before. You're going to want to see Mike McAllister because Mike does something that I don't do well. Mike does CRMs really well, but Mike does generating leads through online marketing really well. And then he teaches LOs how to leverage a CRM to then take those leads and push them to referral sources to build better, stronger relationships. And yes, you should close a couple of these leads yourself, but the hack, or the rub as you like to call it, is actually teaching the LOs how to spend a little bit of money on an advertising campaign, advertising the consumer, getting the consumer to reach out to them, but then pushing those leads to the realtors and to the financial advisors and leveraging giving a lead as a way to forge a relationship. So anyhow, our March TLOP exclusive, and I'm thinking the date is going to be March 14th. And it's a TLOP exclusive, meaning it's something Mike McAllister is doing exclusively for us.
Shout out Mike McAllister.
And it's free, right? This is our way of giving back to the TLOP community, because our other 5 to 7 coaching calls per month, y'all got to sign up to get those. That's me coaching you. That's top producers like Gwen Swain and Brian Kimball and Kayla Sharp and Credit Christie teaching you. No, we wanted a whopping investment of like $2,000 for the entire year. And you're going to get 60, 70, 80 live coaching calls, plus the complete library of training videos that you and Mark are putting on the e-learning platform. So the freebie is Mike McAllister. So shout out, mark your calendars. It's March 14th. Go to TLOP Online. That's where we're going to actually see the details. That's where you'll be able to register. Mike's going to put a crazy cool name to title his deal. He's going to put a description for us. But what I was getting at is it takes time. It's taken us 2+ years. Mm-hmm. It took Hometown Homebuyers 2+ years. It took me 2+ years to build my business. And as Rocky says over at MLS Study Buddy, that's obsessed. That's a Grant Cardone book, by the way. All in. 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Not part-time. Not while you're also a real estate agent. Not, well, I want to be an electrician. Maybe I'll do this on the nights and weekends. No. I don't know how to teach people how to be successful if they're working a second career. Because I know what it took for me, and I had to go all in. I have to see when others have done really well, they went all in. So when I look at those that don't make it, those that end up letting their license lapse because it's just not worth renewing, or those that get sat down and they get terminated by their employer, or worse, when their employer gets merged or acquired, they don't get to go with the group because they're like, we saw your production, homie.
Psych.
Exactly. But it takes 2+ years. That would be the third attribute. When I'm saying, hey, there's 5 common characteristics, right? The first one is your mindset, not treating it like it's a business.
Yeah.
The second is your aptitude. Like you got to be sure that like you got what it takes. Mm-hmm. Like you're smart enough with it. Great common sense, street smarts, well-read, well-traveled, experienced dude or dudette that gets it, but then you got to be able to stay with it over and over again. Some days it's getting kicked right in the junk and saying, thank you, ma'am, can I have another? Like getting spit on, thank you, sir, can I have another? I remember where I was.
You got me twisted.
Well, you getting excited over there?
No, someone's spit on, I'll smack the shit out of you. But yeah, proceed. Yeah, go ahead.
You're getting excited over there, huh?
Take this loan and application, shove it, lady. I don't need your business.
Yeah.
No, I'm just playing.
But no, I remember where I was. I was month 20 into my career.
Yeah.
Month 20, and I wanted to hang it up. I was done. Mentally, physically done. And I had that little thing in the back of my mind. The guy's name is Steve Walsh. Look him up. He played college football at University of Miami. And Steve Walsh took my wife and I to dinner before I went off to training. And because he was going to be my manager. I actually never worked for the guy. But he was going to be my manager had I stayed in West Palm Beach, Florida. I ended up transferring up to the Orlando branch when we found out that she was pregnant with our oldest, who today is going to be 19 years old. But anyhow, Steve Walsh is like, give me 2 years of your life, I'll give you a successful career. But if you can't be all in for 2 years, I can't guarantee you shit. And month 20, I needed that. And I pulled from that, and it worked. Because by month 24, I found my groove. By month 26, I was closing $2 million a month. By month 30, I was being treated to my first ever President's Award Club trip. Like it just worked that way. And the way success happens is typically it feels like it's overnight because a light switch gets turned on, but it's overnight after 3, 4, or 5 years, or after 2 or 24 or 36 months, depending on what it is that you're building, right? How new of a concept are you doing? Like guys like you and I, Taste Longer, right? We part-timed it as a hobby in 20 and 21. We slow rolled it in 22. We didn't start getting intentional until 23.
Right.
So where does our clock start ticking? If I were to be fair, I say our clock started ticking, John, for TLOP January of 23. So that puts us today about month 14. That means when I have a bad day at TLOP, when I'm done yelling at Mark and Nikki and I'm crying myself to sleep because I feel bad about what a jerk I was to them, I have to remind myself, hey, D.O., you have 8 to 10 more months before you can truly figure out whether or not you made it or not. I like this trajectory. I think we're on to something good. You know, we're onboarding 1 to 2 new TLOP members a day. That's a good sign. Like that is a really good sign when we are onboarding that many people and we spend like next to no money on advertising.
I look forward to the day I have my true Hollywood story about my life.
Wow, you're thinking that big.
Yeah,
you're thinking that big, huh?
I get that much money, I'm crashing and burning hard.
I mean, right now, I'm just trying to build out a TLOP MLO community that just represents 3% of all licensed mortgage loan originators. John, if we can get to 3%, that's all I want. I don't want more. I want it to be an exclusive club where people have to like not quite audition, but they should have to interview. They should have to meet certain requirements to join it. Right now, you can get in ground floor, be an OG adopter, and where the investment is minimal, and the application process is, do you have an NMLS, and are you not a jerk? Right? As long as you have an NMLS and you're not a jerk, we're going to let you in and be a part of the cool kid club. So then let's get number 4, let's get number 5, then we can maybe find a way to wrap this up. How does that sound?
That sounds perfect.
Yeah, we're pushing up on the lunch hour right now. I can hear your belly rumbling.
Nope, just going to go smoke a bowl and drink my juice.
Hey, you do that then. You
cold
do
press.
you. Did you bring me any today?
Number 4.
Next time. All right.
Sorry.
Number 4. Number 4 is, here's the deal. Before I say number 4, there's a reason why it's number 4 and it wasn't 1, 2, or 3.
Okay.
Because if you remember when we were kicking this whole show off, I said that in order for you not to make it, you have to embody 3 of the 5.
Yeah.
So 3 of the 5. You may embody 2 of the 5 and you still may have a successful career. Because success comes in different levels, in different layers, in different iterations. That's a U word, iterations.
Yeah.
But I have found people not have staying power because they had a bad business model. Bad business model. What I mean by that is there is one model that is deemed the most sustainable business model for mortgage loan originators. And this is the model that was taught to me 20 years ago. Is the model that was successful 30 years ago.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Take a step.
Bank-owned, realtor-referred something.
Close. Close. Bank-owned is not in there.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, bank-owned is not a necessity.
My bad.
It definitely has its perks. You know, having worked for a bank-owned mortgage lender where I can lend in 48 different states where licensing is a non-issue for me.
Yeah.
You know, I have access to some portfolio products, and when and if has happened 4 to 5 times in the past 15 years, when and if the world throws us a curveball and funding starting to dry up, we don't have to worry about it. But no, bank owns a privilege. It's a perk. It's nice. You know, once every 4 to 5 years, it's a competitive advantage. But no, it's not necessary.
Damn it.
The sustainable book of business is one in which it is purchase focused.
That's what I meant to say.
Realtor builder referred, or it is past client database referred, right? So you understand that you have a database. You have your friends and family, your circle of influence in that database. You have hundreds of referral sources that you've personally gone out and met with in that database. You market to that database, and the bulk of your business is being referred to you because you're great at helping people leverage debt to purchase real estate, right? It's the hardest to build. It is the most time consuming, and it requires the most skill, the most tact, and the greatest ability to build a sustainable book of business because it's purchase focused, realtor builder referred, you know, past client, CRM, database driven. Okay. Because that is a slow, meticulous climb. But once you get on top, it's a pretty steady bedrock that you have created for yourself. So I have found people that they come in and they chase a low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit very well will be refis.
Give me them refis.
All of 2020, all of 21, a lot of 14, 15, 16, and parts of 25. People are going to come in and want to chase some refis. Refis are gravy. Refis are the reason why you can fly first class and not coach. Refis is a great way to train someone newer on your team, like a loan partner or an LOA. Like, refis have their place, and as a loan officer, you should get to a point in a normal market where at least 20% of your business is refi.
Okay.
But when 80 to 90% of your business is refi, like, that is not sustainable. You are one fart in the wind in the wrong direction and rates go up by 0.5%, and your phone just gets cut off, right? Like, no one's calling, nobody wants you. So, and refis become very commoditized. It's less about the service. It's more about, the cheapest. Also, in that same kind of tonality or tone of bad business model, man, people who chase the niches, I don't believe the riches are in the niches. That's a saying. Oh, the riches are in the niches. If you're an outlier, but I don't want to, you've been with me all this time, but everyone else has been tuning in. You know that I love to read the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell.
Sure.
I love to study outliers, but like, I don't want to train people to try to be an outlier, because that's just not the pattern for success. So the riches aren't in the niches, but I find so many originators. I'm going to focus on bank statement loans, I-10 loans, and DSCR loans because no one's doing them.
Yeah, and neither will you.
I mean, it's like, okay, so you're going to focus on a loan product that represents less than 10% of all the loans being originated.
Yeah, and then everybody will come to me because I'll be the jumbo, whatever you just said, loan expert.
Because here's what I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
That top originator, that seasoned veteran, they will still go do a bank statement loan if that's what it means to get a deal closed in today's market. Yeah. If that's what it means to get paid, they'll figure out that DSCR. Yeah. If not them, a member of their team. So you're not the only one. And there's no like, ooh, we'll specialize in it. No. Like, you need to specialize in being a badass mortgage loan originator. Specialize in giving great advice, being great at structuring debt, understanding there's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all mortgage, leveraging all the proper technologies that set you apart as an originator. Sure, you need to have a menu of products, and DSCR and I-10 and bank statement loans can be a part of it. But the minute you start saying, I'm going to do that, here's what I hear. Like, I'm going to specialize in that. I'm going to hear this. I'm not willing to get after it. I'm not willing to grind. I'm not willing to endure. I'm not willing to compete. I'm not willing to push myself to excellence. I'm going to look for the easy way out. And this appears to be an easy way out.
Sign me up.
Look, if it was easy, everyone else would have figured it out. I promise you, you're not the only person.
Yeah.
You may be smart, but you're not that smart. You're not the only person who rolled in saying, oh, what if I did this? Now, I do know guys and girls throughout the country. This one guy works for this one bank and their doctor loan is badass. So he makes $600,000 a year doing doctor loans. But he's one originator out of 60,000 that are doing it. I do know of a guy, and I actually know a couple guys who built their books of business doing FHA 203Ks.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Even still, when they were doing that, it only made up 20 to 30% of their total business. They used that product to get their foot in the door, to get referred, and then from there, they would determine, is that really the highest and best use of this particular property, this particular borrower, or should I do a different loan product? But again, those are outliers. That's not the norm. So when I see people fail, they're failing because they're chasing niche products who are not willing to get dirty and get in the trenches and compete with the rest of us, which makes no sense because 80% of every loan being underwritten, originated, and funded is conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, or your traditional jumbo. Why would you ever want to turn your back on 80%? They'd be like me saying, hey, John, all the hot single girls all go to this one bar. And you're like, yeah, I'm not going to go to that bar because there's going to be so many dudes there trying to get with the hot single girls. I'm like, you're right. But instead, you're driving me to some dive bar.
Sounds way better.
What's that?
Nothing.
Yeah. That has no good-looking chicks at all.
But it smells like piss and they have a dartboard.
And if they are, they're not into dudes, right? Because you're not willing to go compete against the others. But if you want the highest percentages of finding, I'm assuming you're a single guy, which you're not, but in this scenario you are, like, that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, it just makes no sense. Yeah. Hey, this one fishing hole is where everyone's been catching fish as early as like 2:00 today. Yeah, let's not go fish in that hole. Let's go try this unproven hole, because maybe we can go find it. Like, no, like, if you do, you got lucky. If you do, you're an outlier. You found the needle in the haystack. So, characteristic number 4 is, y'all, you just have a bad business model.
Yeah.
And then lastly, and this is 5th for a reason, because it's the 5th of the importance, but it is important. When I study those that are the most successful, it's because they don't do it alone. They understand that iron sharpens iron. They understand that they are the company that they keep. Now, it may be because they're a part of a badass branch and they are led by a badass sales leader, and people in that branch are all high producers, and iron sharpens iron. Then they have the same systems, the same processes, and they feed off of one another, like the energy, the competitiveness, as well as sharing of resources. Cool. Sometimes it's not that. Sometimes you're on an island. You're by yourself. You're working from your house, or you work for a decent company, but no one's really coming in and out of your branch very often, or the people that do, they're not talking. Okay, then what are you doing to better yourself? What community have you joined? And there's lots of communities you can join. Like, of course, we pimp out the TLOP community. TLOP online, go become a member, invest in yourself, sure. But if you don't want to do TLOP, that's cool, right? But there's other communities. What are you going to do? What conferences are you going to? What books are you reading? What podcasts are you listening to? What YouTube channels are you subscribed to? What are you doing to put yourself in rooms with other people that are highly successful? Because for a lot of people who don't make it, it's because they don't. I mentioned mindset as number 1, but it could be also number 5, different type of mindset. Number 1 mindset was thinking like a business owner. Number 2 mindset is thinking big enough. Number 2 and number 5.
Yeah,
thinking big enough, right? You don't think big enough because you don't believe you can. You don't believe you can because you have not surrounded yourself with people who do, right? Like, that's one thing that we do really well at the mortgage company that I represent. I'm like, look, you work out of this branch, there's a $50 million producer, a $45 million producer, a $36 million producer, and those are 2023 numbers. Those numbers were double in years like 2020 and 2021, right? And they're not even the top producers in the entire company. That's just out of my local branch. And that shows people that, yes, you can. But if you're working for a company where the average loan officer is doing 0.9 loans
Let's go.
per month,
hell yeah.
Yeah, you're not putting yourself in a position where you are like iron sharpens iron. No, you're putting yourself in a position of complacency. Like, that's why coaching programs work so well, because you're putting yourself in a community, not just where you can learn from people like me or Coach Gwen or Coach Brian, right? Those are like not to toot my own horn, but we kind of know a thing or two about being badass loan officers, and we can teach based on our successes. We can also teach based on what we're doing right now in our business to continue to be successful. So the number 5 is people aren't putting themselves in a situation to win because they're not surrounding themselves with the right people. On that note, if you do want to become successful, just do the opposite of those 5 characteristics.
Yeah.
Start off. Like, let's think about this. Let's do a little recap for our friends over at Instagram. You ready for this?
I guess.
Hey, JT, this one's for you.
Oh, yay.
Shout out JT, the intern. Okay. Number 1, if you want to be successful as a mortgage loan originator, you must do these 5 things. First thing, you must treat your business like a business. Change your mindset. You work for you, LLC, a division of whatever mortgage company you're currently affiliated with. Number 2, you got to have smarts. You have to have above average aptitude. It does not have to be street smarts. It doesn't have to be book smarts. It has to be some form of above average aptitude. For some of you, it's street smarts. Other you, it's book smarts. Others, it's just pure experience in life. You're well read. You're well traveled. You're well connected. Number 3, you need staying power. It's going to take you a minimum of 2 years to build your book of business, upwards of 3. And for some of you, it may take you 12 to 24 months to rebuild if you've let yourself go or let your business lapse a little bit. Number 4, make sure you have the right business model. That is purchase-focused realtor build a referred with a CRM where you are marketing to your past clients in your circle of influence. Number 4, you need to make sure that you have a community. I think I did that all wrong, John. I think I did number 1, number 4, whatever the case may be.
You did a great job, man.
It's mindset, it's aptitude, it's staying power, it's the right business model. And the last thing is you need to have the right community. Surround yourself by other successful people. On that note, do you have anything to add to these people before we find a way to sign off? Negative. All you're thinking about is that bowl you're going to smoke and the crazy smelly juices you're going to drink.
It's literally accurate.
All right. Well, on that note, his name is John Coleman. My name is Dustin O, and you have just tuned in to an episode of the Loan Officer Podcast, now known strictly as TLOP.
Oh, shit.
If you like what we're doing, don't keep us a secret. Make sure you recommend your friends, your family, and specifically your coworkers to tune into the show. Check out what we're doing over on YouTube. Follow us on social. And if you ever need anything from one of us, hit us up. My first name is Dustin. My last name is Owen. I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. That is all the time we have for you today, but we do look forward to catching you on the next episode. Peace.